Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. My name is Cleo and I am here today to bring you another crime video. This video is connected with the Chris Watts murder, and I did make a Chris Watts video, and thanks to that video we went from I think 79 subscribers to 103 subscribers, and I just want to thank you all so very much for decide to support the channel and deciding for staying here. I'm very thankful. I am very thankful, and like I said, that is just crazy. That video went above 2,000 views, and guys, I'm very thankful for you. I am gonna have a link of my Chris Watts video down in the description below, so you can go and see that if you want to, if you haven't. This video is about Nicole Kessinger, which is Chris Watts' mistress, and which we all, of course, assume Chris killed his entire family for. It is about her police interviews, the both of them. So the first one is what I'm gonna do is just talk brief about how her behavior in those videos, what she said. I have cut out a few parts of the police interviews, the ones I feel like, oh, come on. It is not so deep in, let's say, detail. It's just what I basically think about it. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe today for more. I am gonna have her interviews down in the description down below, so if you want to see the whole entire thing, you can absolutely do so. But let's get started. So in the beginning of the first interview, the first police interview video, you can see that Nicole is struggling with two phones, and the cop is trying to help her out. What the problem is, she was struggling to transfer messages and everything from the old phone to the new one, because the cops are going to take her old one, of course. The cop is trying to make her comfortable, to make her feel like she's in a safe environment, and therefore he tries to joke and laugh. I understand from the cops' point of view, it is all technique. I think they did a really good job in both of their interviews. The situation she is in is pretty serious. This is about the dude that she dated, and he killed his whole entire family. So of course the cops would want a certain thing from you, like messages between Chris and her, which is, of course, the situation she is in is very serious, but I didn't get that she understood that. I feel like she was just, oh well, we're here, let us get her over with. Like, I personally don't feel like she understood the heaviness of the situation. And also, when you're in a situation like that, when you have dated a killer that committed something so horrible, the last thing you ask is, but I don't understand why you guys need the phone and things like that. I would gladly, me personally, I would gladly just give everything. I would give everything to the cop to make me trustworthy. Her reasoning was like, oh my god, there is so many messages between me and my friend, like, do you guys really want this? And I'm just like, girl, it is understandable that they want a phone. It is between her and Chris. They want to see if he brings up something that is very relevant to the whole entire case. And then the cop, he asked a very smart question, like, is there something there you need to be concerned over? And she's not like, no, not really. And after that, she started to just ramble away, like talk away, and he had to kind of bring her back to the actual subjects. This happens a lot. in these interviews, the first one and the second one. I mean, after that, the cop did explain, like, looking at the situation, 2 children are dead. Our pregnant woman is dead. And we need to see that no comment if any comments has been made from any one of you regarding this and the whole situation makes sense. And her answer was, yeah, I guess. Keep in mind, guys, she actually told the cops that she deleted everything. And then, I mean, the conversations between her and Chris, she deleted everything. And of course, that made the cops concerned. Of course, that is just weird. And still, she asked, do I really have to give my phone away? Now, she wasn't forced, but it would look really weird if she didn't. Her reason for deleting those messages between her and Chris was, she said, I didn't want anything of him in my phone, and that is why she did it. So the cop is looking through the mobile text messages between Nicole and her friend, and she made a comment that made the cop ask this.
What do you mean by can tell he has a lot to take care of in life? What did you mean when you said that?
He has a mortgage and he has kids.
Okay.
And responsibilities. I mean, he's a father with a house.
You're even saying in here he's all about his kids.
Yeah. And she was like asking me somewhere in there, like, I mean, everything I had to say about him at that point was like really positive. Like, I think I made it clear that I wasn't like 100% sure this was like the man of my dreams and I was going to spend the rest of my life with him or anything, but I was enjoying the time that I was spending with him at that point.
You're referencing that he has 2 kids and then you don't like that because you want to have that experience with somebody else? Is that what?
I just said I wasn't sure if he was the one that I wanted to be with because he had already like done everything.
Okay.
Like I was like, it would be really nice to kind of like have kids and have my own marriage and all of that stuff. That was never anything I conveyed to him.
So Nicole was also searching for marriage and getting children, and she wanted to do that with someone that hasn't done everything already. So she's saying the reason why I didn't feel sure about him is because he has already done everything. He's already married and he has already gotten children, a house. She wanted the first time experience with someone that is also experiencing it for the first time. And she felt like it couldn't be Chris because, like I said, he's already done everything. Sometimes you can see that she catches herself saying too much and she's noticing it. And the cops is also noticing that she's noticing. So this cop is so good. So he's trying to just, okay, it's cool. We're on safe ground. We're not gonna hurt you. We're not gonna do anything bad. It's all right. That's why they start joking and such to just keep her calm so they can find out more. It was either during or when he was coming home, Chris Watts, from North Carolina, that he said that Shannon and him for real was getting a divorce. And that they were putting the house up for sale. To explain, so you get the whole picture here, Shannon Watts went to North Carolina with their children to meet up with her family and his family. he was supposed to come afterwards. So during the time Shannan was in North Carolina visiting their families, he was with Nicole. According to Nicole, Chris said that it was Shannan that called the realtor to put the house up for sale. Not only that, she was the one that was so eager to get the divorce and the house up fast as possible. Nicole was really, what can I say? She was, Nicole said that Nicole wanted Chris and Shannan to really fix things between the both of them. Take a look.
So is this a phone conversation or is this a text conversation?
No, this happened over the phone, and he told me that that was when I had said, hey, when you go to North Carolina, I really think you should try to fix things with your wife. And he kept asking, well, what about us? And I was trying to kind of take a step back and see if he would fix things before attempting to pursue things with me, because I wanted to know that if all of these things he's saying, like, yes, we're getting separated, and yes, you know, all of these things that he's saying are happening, I wanted to know that it was like, you were doing this like you said you were prior to me coming in your life, and it had nothing to do with me, you know. And so for me, it was like, I really wanted them to fix it. I would have just like left the situation.
So tell me why Shannan calling a realtor and him mentioning that they were going to be divorced. Why do you think it's important?
Because so after that, he was like, she's the one who called the realtor. And I remember I was like, damn, that was fast. Because I knew he told me, like, we were going to put the house up. But they said, he was like, we didn't know how much to offer for it. And we were kind of trying to find somebody. And it, like, so for the first few weeks that I hung out with him, he kind of, like, dragged his feet on, hey, this is happening. And then after North Carolina, he's like, yeah, she wants to put the house up. She's the one that called the realtor. And I was, like, kind of taken back, not necessarily at the speed of it, given how long he said that they'd been separating, but the fact that she did it like the day after he supposedly sat down and had a conversation with her about, hey, do we fix this or do we not fix this relationship?
She really wanted them to fix things. She really wanted them to she didn't want them to break up because of her. Yet still, under the whole trip, under the whole Shannan and Chris trip to North Carolina to meet their family, they had communication throughout the whole damn trip. That is not backing off and giving them space to figure things out. I really didn't like, from both of them, of course, because according to Nicole, Chris said this. Both of them are liars, so we don't know what's the truth, really. But I didn't like the fact that they tried to make it look that Shannan was in such a hurry to get this divorce done and sell the house. It doesn't make sense. I don't believe that at all. For me, Shannan tried to actually fight for this marriage, but Chris had already made up his mind. She knew that he was under the process of divorcing. He had a wife and he had 2 children. He wasn't divorced yet, and she has this mentality there. I really want you guys to fix it. It's such bull. Like, if you know he's going over there, and by the way, you've been with him the whole entire time before he even left. If you know they were going to have a discussion either to fix things or just not, then you should have backed off. I feel like she should have just backed off when he was on that trip if she knew that they were going to have that discussion. It is just plain bull. Like I said from the very beginning, before I even put the other video up, I didn't trust her from the start. I didn't. And in the Netflix documentary, you can see small parts of the first interview. And I just had to see those small parts to say, I don't trust her. But I'm just gonna say my end thoughts about this interview. The situation she was in right there was very heavy. Like I said, people are dead, children and a wife. And the person that did it was the person she was dating. So it's very, very severe, all right? And when I saw the whole interrogation, I just feel like, okay, I have to be honest. Like I feel like she's a teenager in detention. I feel like she's in detention. Like, oh, why are you guys asking these things? Let us get this over with, and things like that. And the way she spoke. Yeah, I'm not gonna comment too much about it, then it's just gonna be rude. I just felt like she didn't care about these people. She's not showing any emotions, at least. I feel like when you come to the ending, when it's coming to an end, you will know that her only concern is pretty much her name coming up in the media. That was the only thing she was concerned with. The end part is when, I don't know what this lady was, a psychiatrist or psychologist, but she was giving Nicole advice about her life. They wanted to like really show we care. If you need help, we're here. She lost her job, Nicole, and she's stressed and worried. And so this lady that sits next to her just wanted to give her advice, right? There's a point in that discussion between those two where I could really tell that Nicole couldn't even look at this woman. It almost felt like she got irritated. But also, like I said, her only concern was her name. So now we're in the second interview. She got called in for a second interview. I have to be honest, okay? I thought she wanted this interview so she could clean up the mess a bit, because she did say too much, I feel, in the first interview. And I thought this interview was because she wanted it, but it wasn't the case at all. The cops called her in again, I think. I was hoping that she maybe learned a bit from her mistakes in the first interview. Nah, she's the same, if not even worse. This interview is so much worse than the first one, and her father is there. In the second interview, she had to retell the story from the beginning about her and Chris and just explain everything. And as we all already knew, for the ones that have seen this case, they worked for the same company, so they met for the first time at work. She explained to the cop that it was very casual in the beginning and he didn't wear his wedding ring, so he didn't say he was in a relationship. But later on, he mentioned his kids. And her reaction to that when explaining that is, oh, well, that's cool. And then she starts to giggle.
It's like, that's pretty cool. And started telling me about his kids.
That sounded like a sarcastic comment.
No, I thought it was kind of cute. I was like, oh, he's a dad. It was like right around Father's Day, too. So whenever that is in June.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm not good with holidays.
He told me he had kids, and then it was Father's Day shortly after that. So that's what I do now. And I was like, I thought it was cute.
I just feel when I saw that part that, well, it seems like she still had something for Chris there. You can look and tell for yourself. And then he said to Nicole that he was with someone and they were in the process of a divorce. Chris worked as a field operator, while Nicole's responsibility was health, safety, and environment. They both work for an oil company, so sometimes Chris and his team comes in the morning into the office where she works. And part of her job is to manage equipment they use when they're out in the field. So that day when she met Chris, they had technical issues with the equipment. So there were a lot of people in the office that day, and one of them was Chris. So it would have been in June before Father's Day that he mentioned that he was in the process of getting a divorce, according to Nicole. In the beginning, she wasn't sure if it was June or May they started to talk. So in this interview, the cops explained yet again why they are asking what they spoke about, Chris and Nicole. Because the situation is that 3 kids are dead and a wife. So they needed to know if they spoke anything about that. If there was something he said that could have brought a huge reaction. And this is what she said about that.
Basic conversation for a first date?
I mean, we kept it pretty simple, I guess, you know. I don't even remember everything we talked about. We
Sure.
were there for a few hours. But
Understand so if I ask about conversation, what I'm looking for, was he talking about his family during any of these meetings? Those are the kind of, I understand, whatever you guys were talking about, relationship, your life, your interests, those things, we don't need to know that. What I'm interested in is knowing is when he brings up his children, when he brings up his wife, when he brings up financial information, when he brings up his home, when he brings up anything that may have been, and it's been a few days, so you've had a chance to reflect on some articles that you may have read, and you know, unfortunately, that you're in a situation where somebody has been murdered. And that information, when you look backwards in your memory with the conversations with Chris, anything that he might have said that would be relative to that, and I'm not just, even if one day he was mad and he said, I want to do this or do that, anything like that, if he ever made any kind of statements that you were like, whoa, that was weird, or why would he say that, or why did he mention that? Do you understand what I'm
no,
looking for?
I completely understand. I just feel like some of this happened so long ago that I can't tell you like the exact words of the exact conversation at the exact time and place, because it's like we had a lot of conversations. I mean, we talked every single day. So it's
if there's
like I'm trying to help you guys with the stuff like the stuff that's more current. I can give you guys a lot more like detail and exact times. But when you're asking me about something that happened 6 weeks ago and exactly what was said, it's like, I mean, I'm sure I can give you a general idea, but to be honest with you, like to pinpoint exact words, it's not going to happen.
I'm not looking for exact words.
I don't understand why you would go into a defense mode in this situation. It really felt like she was going into a defense mode. She said she can't remember what happened 6 weeks ago in details. They're not looking for details. They're looking if he said something. And it just made me think that, I mean, she could remember other stuff really well, other things that involved Chris. Excellent, but not anything he said about the situation of 4 people being dead. I just feel like if I was in this situation, and I think this goes for you too, that if I was unlucky enough to date a person like this, Chris, and you find out that this person have killed 4 people, it makes you think whether you like it or not. You can't really control that. It makes you think. You're gonna go in shock, and you're gonna start. I would start thinking about everything, any discussion, and I think the brain would automatically just bring up everything. Okay, you would start to remember more than you think, I believe. But also that depends if you actually care or not. Also, I would get really scared and worried. So automatically in my head would probably remember a lot. You would also start thinking, that could have been me. He could have done that to me. And that would make me scared. It did feel like she was protecting Chris a bit. She didn't want to say too much. And you could tell. Also, she was really playing clueless. for that reason probably. But at the same time, how hard is it to understand what the cop is saying? She started to explain how she saw Chris to the cops. She felt like Chris was very unique compared to other men she was dating. And she felt like he was an introvert, not only with his family, but in general. And she also said or stated that she felt like, or he maybe told her even, that he could speak comfortably with her. So, like I mentioned in the beginning, according to Nicole and Chris, or mostly Kristen, it was Shannan that was eager to get this divorce and get the house up for sale. And it was Nicole that was hoping that maybe they could fix things, and that didn't make sense to me, because not once did she just stop and think, maybe I should back off if I really want them to fix things. Because when he was in North Carolina, they had a lot of communication. Actually, that shocked me. I'm not going to lie. It shocked me that he was still riding with her while he was with his wife and kids and the whole entire family. I don't think Nicole fancies Shannan at all. It just, when you see the whole interview, you will think the same way. I think she dislikes Shannan as much as Chris Watt's mother does. It is just, I did not like the expressions, how she expressed herself when it came to Shannan. I did not like it. Let's start with this video for an example.
Really took care of was to be like, where is she moving to? I was never like, you know what, screw your wife, try to get full custody, none of that bullshit. It was always just like, you know, I'd ask him, I'm like, well, what kind of custody you guys gonna have? Because he's...
Screw your wife, trying to get the full custody, none of that bullshit. That custody is between him and her, and you're saying also like, no, she's saying, I'm not speaking to Nicole, I'm speaking to you guys. She's saying, she stated in this interview, like, she really was painting this picture that she was understanding. I mean, he's gonna be single. He hasn't been single for a while, so I wanted to give him space. And then she says something like this. She's very passionate there when she said, screw your wife, trying to get full custody, none of that BS. What do you mean? Why was she so passionate there? She didn't want to stand in Chris and Shannan's way. She also wanted him to, by himself, build his own life with his kids. According to source, court documents shows Kessinger searching for 2 hours after a wedding dress. They found Google search that she was searching for 2 hours after a wedding dress. And this was 9 days before the murder. They explained that searching for a dress is not a crime. What she did here was not a crime, but it shows her honesty of how she explained their relationship. I find it funny that the interview took a huge turn the second hour. The cops were really trying to find a discussion between these two about the children or Shannan. Cops are already sitting on a lot of information, and they are reading off her. And I don't think she did really well. Even if she didn't commit a crime, she showed that she wasn't really truthful from the beginning. She started to speak about Chris' frustration with money, all thanks to that Shannan was a spender. It was also Shannan's fault that they went bankrupt because, according to Chris, she spended a lot of money just for show. The house and everything in it was just for show.
Thing that he's got in his own life and his life that he doesn't remember probably what it's like to like be single or have time where it's like just him.
Sure.
And so I was just like, like embrace that. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I really try to like take it smart with all that. And it was the same thing with his kids. I was just like, like And we talk about things every once in a while where I'd be like, hey, if I ever meet, because like I have a lot of house plants. That's a good example. So I have a lot of house plants, and I told him, I was like, one day if I ever meet your kids, I was like, I'm gonna show these girls how to like paint pottery and plants. I was like, I think they would love to see something grow that they built. I think it would be really, really cute. And like little stuff like that, but it wasn't very frequent. It wasn't, hey, we should get married, and hey, we should have babies, and hey, I want to live with you, and hey, I need to meet your children now, and let's cut the mom out. It was never like that.
And there was never...
Okay. And I knew that those two had been through some financial trouble. I definitely found out a lot more about that situation in the newspaper recently.
Okay, so prior to the newspaper, how did you know he was in financial difficulty?
Because when I went to that house, everything in there is very, 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 very nice. It looks like it all comes with a very expensive price tag. And I didn't say anything to him about it, but I could kind of tell then where I was like just looking at everything like, how do you guys afford this? And then he has that car. I don't even know how much that car costs. But
What car is that?
That Lexus. I'm sure that thing costs like 80 grand, but just like money. Like everything just looked like it costs a lot of money in that house.
You probably have a decent idea of how much money he makes.
Yeah, and it's not enough money to pay for all that. Not even close.
Did you have any idea of what Shannan did for a living or how much money she might have made?
I mean, I had an idea. I would consider her like a sales rep. I don't know how else to describe that. For the company that she worked for. And I don't know exactly how much she made. He said that she was really competitive and she liked to try to keep up with him. He's like, she gets close sometimes. So I don't know how much those two brought in. I mean, off the top of my head, if I could guess, probably somewhere around like $140K a year. I mean, I don't know. Because I don't know exactly how much he makes. And I don't know exactly how much she makes. But based just off of like what I know about the oil field, like, yeah, I would say that's probably an accurate estimate.
So even if they're making, let's just use the figure $100,000, they're living above their means or below their means?
Oh my God, like...
Way too much?
Way
Did he ever discuss with you any of those issues?
I mean, a little. I mean, I didn't know about the bankruptcy or any of that until I read on the newspaper about that, but I think he was really frustrated with the situation. He told me, he's like, I feel like my paycheck goes in my bank account and I just watch it go like this. He's like, but it doesn't have to. He's like, she makes it like that. And I was just
so was he resentful for that?
I don't know if he was resentful. I just think he was frustrated by the fact that they could be doing a lot better financially, and she, from the vibe that I got, had really bad spending habits.
So everything was Shannan's fault. She wanted to push this divorce, and he also mentioned Shannan being very dominant and not letting Chris talk at all. When Nicole's explained her picture of Chris like he was an introvert, and that, if you remember, I brought that up. She explained also the reason why he found it more easy to speak to her was because they had more in common, and also that he showed no sign of aggressiveness, and that he never spoke ill about the kids or Shannan, and that he was just a calm dude. That is what she said. Also, this person invited this woman into his home twice. Once was 4th of July. Second one was 14-15, she said, of July. She explained that she didn't feel comfortable being there because that is Shannan and Chris's world and she doesn't feel like she belonged there. But she did look around in the home and saw, according to her, their faces for the first time. Shannan's and the kids. In pictures. In all honesty, I do believe that this woman knew who Shannan Watts were before she even met Chris. I think she Googled, I do believe, well, according to facts, she actually did Google Shannan before meeting Chris. I'm going to get more to that a bit later. But I do believe she did, and I also believe that she probably Googled him as well before even talking to him. I wouldn't be surprised. This is just speculation about that part. This woman is peculiar, definitely. She can sit and laugh through a serious matter. I understand when the cops do it, And yet once again, about the phone, she didn't really want to give it up. And for me, the reason is because she know they will find something. But her reason was not only she wanted to get rid of Chris, everything that had to do with Chris. There were sexy pictures, sexy time messages that she didn't want them to see. I could tell that the cop got so annoyed here. The fact that he has to say, we all are grown-ups here, you don't have to worry. There is a part here I found interesting, the way she expressed herself. So I'm gonna explain. Like I said before, Shannan was gonna go to North Carolina and visit her whole entire family, her family and Chris's, so he was coming afterwards. So there was a fight between Shannan and Chris's mother. The reason was because Chris' mother had given, I think it was ice cream to one of her children, and on the ice cream there was peanuts. And one of the children was really allergic to peanuts. I think peanuts is one of the worst things to really be allergic to. And according to Shannan, I think this was through the Netflix video I got this information, Chris' mom knew this. So there was a fight. And Nicole knew about this. And that just says how much contact they had back then. But the way Nicole explained this part was incredibly peculiar, weird, interesting. It made me feel like I was back where I had a discussion with another woman. And she was trying to get her point across, but yet still she didn't want to say too much. And it was confusing somehow, but you still understand what she's trying to say, right? I'm just gonna show you the video.
Your conversation with the children, or about the children, was there ever talk about medical concerns with either of the children?
Well, I know Cece is allergic to not peanuts, like pine nuts.
So she has a nut allergy.
Yes.
Did they take meds?
Yeah, I know that she had like an EpiPen, but as far as I know, she didn't have any meds, but I never asked. Like, I was just told, like, she has a pretty severe allergy. And
Enough to carry an EpiPen, that's pretty severe.
yeah, while we're on this, so when he was in North Carolina, this is all like hearsay now because it's like, this is not a conversation. Like, he's telling me this stuff, but who knows exactly what happened. But he went out there to go see his family and her family. And while he was in town, before he went out to North Carolina, I guess his mother had accidentally, like, not exposed her to something with nuts, but had, like, given a product, I think it was like ice cream, to a different kid that could have traces of nuts or something. I don't know. But it was like, his daughter was fine, but she was, like, in the range of contamination. And I think his wife was very upset about that.
Okay. This is not a laughing matter. Poker face. She had trouble pronouncing nuts. Chris's mother exposed, you mean gave, whatever, a product. You mean the ice cream. To this other kid. One of Chris's children are severely allergic to nuts, peanuts. That is how she expressed it. She knows this story well. She didn't want to overshare it. She didn't really want to say it, you can tell. That's why she's confusing things. But she knows this story, and just she knowing this story tells a lot that they had good contact. But who is this other kid? This cop interview just made me tired. I just thought she would do better here than she did in the first interview. I thought maybe she would tone it down. Well, luckily she gladly talked about everything, but you would think that maybe she wouldn't overshare. And she brought her father there, and it didn't really help. He tried, didn't work really. I did not like I said, the way they spoke about Shannan, that she was the problem and that it was her that wanted the divorce and sell the house, that everything was pretty much her fault. And I didn't like that she, in a way, pointed out that he likes her more, Nicole, and they understood each other. Also, Nicole, like I said, Nicole wanted to paint the picture to the cop that she was responsible, independent, and she didn't want to stand in Shannan and Chris' way. And she was really hoping that they would fix it and that she'd gladly back off. Well, maybe if you did back off, they would actually have a chance to fix it. Who knows, actually? Also, for me, it just feels like they couldn't be away from each other. Chris couldn't be away from Nicole, and Nicole couldn't stay away from Chris. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me, and everything is pretty much BS. And it doesn't really make sense to me that she really wanted them to fix things if they had all that contact when he was with his family, entire family, in North Carolina. I just feel like you shouldn't have been in contact with him then. That's when you should have backed off a bit. Nicole mentioned that she found out that Shannan was pregnant via the news, which I think it's total BS. It's not true. I don't think it's true at all. Shannan was very open about her life. She had a Facebook page. She was, like I said, a kind of vlogger where she spoke about everything. So of course she was open about her pregnancy. And she said that she found out via the news, which I do not believe. Also, this discussion came up in the interview and things started to heat because Nicole said if she would have found out that she was pregnant, I wouldn't have wasted my time in the first place. And none of this would have occurred. You can imagine the cop's reaction. Let me show you.
When he told me that she was cool with the 50% everything and just breaking it off and being really civil about it, it kind of made sense to me because I was like, the way he made this sound, it wasn't, oh, she's this horrible person or, oh, I'm this horrible person. It was, her and I have drifted so far apart that it's kind of a mutual agreement that this is not going to work.
So in those 6 years, though, they had 2 children.
Yep.
And you said earlier you did not know she was pregnant until reading the newspaper.
Yep.
So that never came up in any conversation. There was no indications that was going on.
None.
He never hinted to anything like
Nothing.
that. As far as you knew, he was just leaving her. He had 2 children, and that was the final take on that.
Yes.
Okay.
I know why he lied to me. He lied to me because if I'd have known that he had a child on the way, I'd have never wasted my time with him in the first place. None of this would have even occurred if he would have just told me the truth.
So do you think if he found out that you, if, let's say this week you guys were to go look at some apartments, and this is hypothetical, but you've never found out that his wife was pregnant, would that have changed anything? Like you just said, if I knew his wife was pregnant, I wouldn't be in this picture. So if his wife was not pregnant, and forgive me, but if he takes her out of the picture, you're never going to know that she was pregnant, right?
What do you mean takes her out of the picture?
If he murdered her, she's out of the picture. You're never going to know if she was pregnant. If he can get away with murder, you're not going to, I got divorced from my wife. You say, do you understand what I'm saying here? If she's gone,
But this,
Don't lead,
hypothetically,
please.
Yeah.
Don't lead
hypothetically,
on.
if she,
Okay.
you understand where I'm going? If
Right,
you
but you're-
didn't know,
You're leading into
Right.
questions that are nothing with your,
if you didn't know though,
wait, Nick,
that she was there,
did you hear what I said?
I'm following you. I just want her to answer a question that relates to, she said something that's important, that if he didn't have a child on the way, or if she didn't know that, she would have continued the relationship, right?
but he killed his kids. At what point does he think that I'm going to be in a
I'm
relationship?
not talking about the children. I'm just talking specifically about her. If you only knew, if the kids were still here, and he called you and said, "I'm divorced from my wife," and he gets away with this, do you understand what I'm thinking from his aspect?
I still wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't do it because I'd be like, where did she go?
Okay.
Because I'm under the impression that she's a really good mom. Like,
According to sources, investigators found Google searches of Shannan Watts, about Shannan Watts, in Nicole's phone from 1st September 2017, so a whole year before she started to talk to Chris. I'm not surprised, and this is according to sources. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description down below of an article I found this from. She would have problems remembering discussions in details that occurred 6 weeks ago. But when it came to other wins that happened months ago, like many months ago, she remembers pretty well. This part made me very angry because still the woman and her children are deceased, all right? And she knows it in this interrogation or interview. I just feel like you can be more sensitive when you speak about another person. And I don't have any words for these two, Chris or her. This occurred on Monday where Shannan was reportedly missing, I believe. And he was speaking about his wedding ring to Nicole. And this is what she said.
he was strange. So another thing, so that was Tuesday, and that was it for Tuesday, but I forgot some stuff on Monday that I did need to bring up to you guys. So Monday, when we were on the phone, at one point, he mentioned to me, I can't even believe I have to say this, she left her wedding ring here. And I said something along the lines of, does that mean you two are done? And he was like, he said, how much do you think it's worth? And I was like, remember hearing him say that and being like, what the fuck? And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't even know how to respond to this. And so I was like, I don't know, pawn it, man. And I was just like, I pawn jewelry all the time. I was like, I pawn jewelry a few times. I was like, it's not worth shit, though. And I was like, so I don't know if you really want to do that. And he's like, no.
From this point, I was just done. Zero respect. This woman wasn't garbage. She wasn't. My head. In all honesty, I just feel like they deserved each other. But also, Nicole got lucky. Because if he could do that to them, he can do this to her. And I feel like she really dodged a bullet. Through both of these interviews, Nicole had a hard time saying Shannan's name. Yeah, there could be different reasons for that. But she didn't really show any emotions towards them. Not that much. And after you see like these two interviews, you just know that she doesn't fancy the woman that much. So, and she also expressed that she was more worried about children than she was about Shannan when they were reportedly missing. And her explanation was that, well, if it was, I mean, Shannan could have just ran off to another dude. Well, what do you think she did with her children then? There is so much more I could say about this woman, but I need to really end it soon. I just want to say about the cops, they did a terrific job here. They asked all the right questions, they had the patience of a saint, and they did a really good job of making her comfortable and making her feel like she can trust them. She was really in an interview with professionals. This is the last thing I will say about Nicole. So you guys know, the further you get to the ending, the worse it gets. I didn't think it could get worse than their wedding ring thing. That was just disgusting. But she starts boasting herself. Oh, I am the better person. Like, I would never do that. Oh, I am like this. I got my things together. And things like that. She really started to boast herself. And throughout the whole interrogation, she wanted really to paint the picture that it, or both of them, that it was pretty much just Shannan's fault that he left. I have seen Chris's mother's interview, and it is horrible. It is really horrible. She shows absolutely no emotions, and she sees Chris as the victim, not actually Shannan. And yeah, of course, as usual, everything is Shannan's fault. There is no emotions towards her own son's deceased wife, and his children, that is his blood, and actually Chris's mother's blood as well. No emotions, just pure despise for Shannan. And that is actually very sad. Very sad. It is so bad that this woman didn't even attend her own son's wedding because she didn't approve of the wife. It was just horrible. And then you see Shannan's mother. You see hurt, heartbreak, and of course the father was there and the brother. You see purity. You see love, but pure heartbreak, sadness. It was, seeing that interview made me very emotional. That was they are a very loving family. Shannan came from a very loving family, and she didn't deserve this outcome, and they didn't deserve to be in this situation at all. I actually started crying when I saw that interview. So these two interviews I'm also going to have in the description down below. My last word, or words, we will never actually know what really happened. Only Chris knows. Both of these two people are liars. I'm not saying she lied through the whole thing, and I'm not saying he's lying about every detail, but they are liars, and we can only take his word for it. Like, we can only Chris will really know what really happened. You never know, but I just feel like right now I'm gonna say I don't believe that Nicole told Chris to do what he did. I think she probably pushed him for a divorce. I don't think she's this, oh, I'm gonna back off, let you guys fix it kind of person. No, I don't think so. I think she was mad about Chris. Like, she was crazy about him. I honestly believe that. I feel a little bit of stalker here, don't you guys? I mean, she already had Googled Shannan like a year before she even met Chris. I mean, she probably knew about Chris also. I mean, she probably looked up Chris somehow before she even spoke to him. She probably saw him through Shannan's pictures and stalked him that way. You never know. I honestly get stalker vibes from her. But yeah, I think she knows more than she says she does, even though she was she said a lot, but I think she knows more than she's putting out. Yeah, guys, there we have it. That was it. That was my opinion and how I saw the whole interview. So everything is going to be in the description down below. Like I said, I think she was pushy. I don't think she told him to do the things he did. And she doesn't, yeah, I'm not going to be rude. I'm just going to, we end it there, right? I know there is interviews of Chris Watts as well. I don't know if I'm going to go through them, to be honest. We'll see. But guys, if you did enjoy this, please leave a like and subscribe today for more. Like I said, this was just my opinion of the interview she had with the cops. And this is what I think about it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Stay with me a bit, guys, and please have patience, alright? It is so easy to start thinking after when you have to listen to everything and while you're cutting your video and fixing. I know I said that I do not believe that Nicole wanted him to actually go and kill his family. I don't think she encouraged. But the way she spoke of Shannan was pure downgrading her. But the way she spoke about her kids, she was very caring a bit, I have to say. Just the way that she said, so where is she gonna live? Where she's gonna move? Screw your wife. Screw that full custody bullshit. None of that. When she knows a lot of things about these kids. I truly believe that. And she also, when she said she was trying to help Chris find an apartment, and the way she spoke about, well, you need to be close to your kids, and your kids can have bunk beds like me and my sister did, and I'm gonna teach them this and that. And then also when they were reported missing, and her comment there, I wasn't so worried about where Shannan was. She could have just run out with another dude, but I was worried about the kids. That is a really weird comment. That is really weird, because why are you saying that she did something to the kids? Because if you didn't know, Chris Watts put the blame on Shannan, that she was actually hurting them, or that she had suffocated them or strangled them, and that is why he killed her. That Shannan was the one that killed her children. So was Nicole thinking the same thing here when she said, oh, I wasn't worried so much about Shannan, she could have just gone to another man dude, but I was worried about the kids? I mean, putting all of this together, how she spoke about the children and Shannan, and also the only part I don't know if she faked cried. I don't know if it was real. Obviously, she's not trustable. She could have fake cried. I don't know. But she started crying when it came to his kids. All I'm saying is, what if she wanted him and wanted to be the mom to these kids, and then get another child that would be theirs? This is just a speculation from my part, because putting all of these conversations together, it just feels like it a bit. And she did not like Shannan. So what if she actually wanted him? Or What if she actually wanted just Shanann to be not in the picture, and she didn't really care how? It is a huge accusation. It is. But this is just a speculation. It is nothing that says that I'm right. Nothing is on my side of that. I am just speculating. It just feels like she wanted Shanann to be out of the picture. She didn't like her at all, but she wouldn't mind having the kids in her life. It just felt that way when she spoke about him. I don't know, what do you guys think? What do you speculate from what you have seen from the interviews? If you have seen it, what do you think about Nicole? Please discuss with each other.